Hello, Sam. You had asked how I built this greenhouse, and here's the interior so that you can get a better feel for what's going on here. Sorry about the extra noise. That's the sheep there. Okay, so what I did was I set posts. Like you'd set posts for a fence.
With an auger.
Uh, with a large auger. And I sunk these side posts. I think those were done at about 4 feet. These center posts were, I just maxed it out. I think these were like 5 feet or something like that. These were really deep. So these, I believe these poles were something like 14 and a half feet. Unfortunately, they were set in place by me, by hand. I have no idea how much they weigh. I would never do that again. My back hurt for a while. But with a piece of machinery, you could do something like this really fast. And then before I have bracing in here, as you can see down the sides. Every 20 feet, I put a pretty stout brace. And before I could do that, we got a pretty strong windstorm, like an incredible windstorm. It blew in this side a little bit, so I had the plastic ripped, and I had to patch it, but that's no big deal. I got these in place now, and it's been through several storms since with no issues whatsoever. Took huge snow loads too. But this is also a large part of the success of the design, and it's wire. I have a lot of fence wire, and I use a lot of this stuff. It's great stuff. It's just the regular steel fence wire from like Tractor Supply or something like that. I like to use it because it's really cheap. You can get half mile of the stuff for like $30, $40. So what I did is I set eye hooks every foot along this entire thing, and on one side they're more or less meant to be stationary, and then on this other side I use them to screw tighten these wires, kind of like tuning pegs on a guitar. And this stuff is actually incredibly strong, and if you've got these supports every foot, it just it never sags. I'm snapping them so you can see they're pretty tight. And I did that thinking that it might work out pretty well, and it actually worked out a lot better than I thought it would. This is the second one of these I've built, and I came up with this idea on the first one, and I liked it so much I used it again. Oh, sorry, yeah, that's true. This is the third one. I don't count the first one though. It wasn't all that great. Built it with a machete. This one I used a chainsaw. So yeah, everything in here is just done with a chainsaw. It's all relatively simple stuff. As far as the notching, I didn't get too complicated. I don't have time for that sort of stuff. Some people like to waste time. I have way too much to do. So everything is simply notched, and the way that I fasten is I grab large spikes. I grab 12-inch galvanized spikes, and I throw down 12-inch galvanized spikes at every juncture. So here we go. Here's one of the corners. This is the most complicated section right here, I guess you could say. These ends, as you can see, these were notched into the side of this support right here. So this gives the corners incredible strength. You can't do anything to these corners. They're bulletproof. everything's notched to basically pull in tighter on itself, and it just gets stronger. I did that, and then what I did on the outside to tighten the plastic was I just ripped strips of log. I'm also really cheap, always working on a budget, so I do stuff like this all the time. And you know, some old pieces of trim I ripped off of an old shed or something like that. And then yeah, these ripped strips, and I got ripped strips down the entire side of each side of the structure. These doors, my super fancy doors here, dog kennel, old dog kennel doors, or just side panels, so I just broke those off. They fit perfect. Threw some baling twine on there. And then if it gets really cold, we can always throw these panels of plastic back on the ends. I leave them off most of the time. It's really never that cold here, and it really helps with the condensation inside. We don't have anti-condensate plastic or anything like that, so you know it can get pretty moist in here. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully if you were thinking about building something like this in the future, maybe this will give you a couple ideas.